Wow! It's 2 minutes to late night!
What's up, 100-calorie Oreo Thin Crisps? I can't say it. You're a fucking snack. Whatever. You're listening to Pod Minutes to Cast Night. You're here with the 2 Minutes to Late Night Writers Room.
I am Lucy Steiner, and motorcycles scare me.
You're right to think that. Everyone I've known who has bought a motorcycle has died on that motorcycle.
The leader of
so
the
you're
pack.
right. You're right to be afraid of them.
I'm at the candy store. Now he's fucking dead.
I'm Jeremy Hammond, and I am woefully behind the times on baby metal.
Yeah, they're really good, man.
They're so good.
It's really fun.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
You feel weird because they're like,
Children.
yeah, but it's good.
I'm Katie Rose Leon, and I got this sticker for having a positive mental attitude.
Is this sticker your way of saying a hand tattoo? Hey, what's up? I'm Drew Kaufman, and I'm wearing a hat in the summer to hide my shame from Yahweh.
And I'm Jordan Olds, and I bought a straight edge hoodie for my dog because my dog is straight edge, but I'm not.
Are there dogs that aren't straight edge?
Maybe.
I mean,
How does a dog break edge? I guess if you have a flop house and your party dog licks up some party favors.
or
But
you're like,
it's got to be a by choice.
Or if you hotbox your dog.
I don't know. That's kind of like a thing, like if you go to jail and you can't drink, are you straight edge?
Who
If you
thinks
wanted
that?
to.
I don't know. We are now thinking about that.
What straight edge podcast did they bring that up on?
2 minutes to edge thoughts. I don't know.
I'm
edge
edging.
minutes to straight night.
Fuck. Ew.
As the only person in this
Ew.
room not drinking, I'm surprised you guys didn't just ask me
What?
anything.
You're not a real straight edge
No, I'm
person.
not.
You just don't drink.
I just don't drink, and if someone was like, hey, are you straight edge? I would go, fuck no, and chug a beer, because I fucking hate being associated with anybody who is like me.
Well, that was fun. How fun. Before we get into today's album, Lucy Steiner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So last week, we talked a little bit about death metal and stuff, and you were surprised that Cannibal Corpse wasn't that evil sounding. So I was like,
Yeah,
I
they
will try to.
weren't-
Yeah.
They didn't sound as spooky as I thought they would sound and hoped they would sound. I wanted more of a theater of the mind.
Oh, you wanted.
You know?
Oh, you wanted like theatrical.
Yeah, theatrical spookiness.
Oh, okay. That is not what I gave you.
No, you did not.
So I gave.
but it was closer to that. I mean the old the cattle mutilation. Which one?
Yeah, I sent Lucy the song "Forced Gender Reassignment" by Cattle Decapitation.
Oh, decapitation.
Right.
Cattle decapitation.
That's the wokest metal song title I've ever heard.
Yes.
And it came out in like 2012.
Hell yeah.
Can I just say, I kept thinking they were called cattle mutilation because, which is the alien conspiracy. Because my ex-boyfriend used to always show me pictures of cattle mutilations to prove to me that aliens existed.
Oh, nice.
And apparently,
Not just for fun.
yeah, not just for fun.
Not just because he's watched the first episode of South Park. It was like, maybe.
So many of our fans are just like, I think that Lucy's the girl for me.
Yeah, if you
that
want to...
is-
If you want to meet another boy who keeps pictures of mutilated cattle in his wallet, our fan base will definitely hook you up.
Hell yeah.
All right.
But
Moving
yes.
on from shitting on the people that are really trying to help us. What did you think of the song, and how did you listen to the song?
I listened to the song. I listened to the song today, and I was just kind of sitting at a computer listening to it, and I did stumble upon the music video, but I'll get to that in a second.
Yep.
But I thought like it was definitely closer to what I kind of wanted and expected, like mostly because of that witchy screaming in the middle.
Yeah.
Because like there was like a little bit of like there's like a back and forth going on. Like now it's like first it's like the tormentor, and now it's the tormented, and it's going back and forth, and it's kind of like that's the kind of midnight spooky tales vibe
Yeah.
that I was going for.
I
you know?
think Lucy wants some straight up like playing guitars in the snow shit is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think you want
Somewhere between Sweden and the Monster Mash by.
Yes.
Yeah, you
yes,
wanted
exactly. I want like the Monster Mash, but with like disgusting lyrics.
you wanted you wanted the monsters, and what I gave you was like Human Centipede.
Yeah, and I did.
totally misunderstood what you were asking for. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, I mean, like Human Centipede, like because when I watched the video, I was like, "Oh, this is way more literal than I thought it was gonna be."
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has seen. Has everyone seen the
I've seen the music.
video?
Fun fact: there's never been a good metal music video ever.
Nope.
Yes. But this was
Never
good.
happened. As a person who has directed several heavy metal music videos, none of them are good.
I will say a lot of vans though, a lot of cool vans. Paintings on the side of vans.
Yes, great bands, bad
Oh my
music
God.
videos.
I was in Bushwick today, and I saw a van that had the album art for Sleep's Dope Smoker, like silkscreened onto the back window, and I was like, boy, if I wanted to make a van to catch 40-year-olds, that's how I would do it. Come inside, kids. We've got $25 T-shirts.
An undercover cop sleep van. You turn it on, the sirens just.
Oh my god, that hurts me.
Lucy, do you know anything about Sleep?
No, I mean
concept?
yeah, the action. Yeah, I'm very familiar.
Much similar to The Action is the band,
Yeah.
which is a band that has made 2 songs on 4 albums. They make like 80-minute songs, and that's Jordan just sung their greatest hits, basically.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
They play one chord for like Dope Smoker is a chord for a record. But for some reason, it's fun to listen to sometimes.
I've played
But
a
here-
lot of Dungeons and Dragons with people wearing sleep t-shirts.
Yes, that is true. Literally, all of our friends who still work at video stores somehow wear sleep T-shirts there.
Every person who has a Sleep t-shirt is kind. I will say that.
Yes.
I've only met kind people in those shirts.
Except Emily Panic, who played Hard Melissa, once was wearing a sleep T-shirt. I was like, that's out of character. And she was like, oh, I got it for free. I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
And then she kicked you down the stairs.
She absolutely did. But we should go back to Lucy because she literally watched a music video where people got their genitals
Just
switched.
got their
literally.
Cut right off, just lobbed off.
Yep.
On YouTube?
Yes.
on YouTube.
It is somehow on YouTube.
When I read the description, I was like, I'm not going to be able to find it. It will have been banned, but it was right on there. Top hit.
Yeah.
With
They
no
have,
censorship or anything?
No.
User guidelines are very weak. I don't know if you guys have been reading the news.
yeah,
kind of
apparently it's fine to show dick and boobs on YouTube if they're covered in enough fake blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of like almost abstract close-ups of the gore. It was just like it was just like a little, it was like a Rothko painting or something at certain points.
Is this a Francis Bacon painting, or is it just high contrast SpaghettiOs? You don't know.
Or is it just mashed up dick?
Mashed dick.
Sounds
That
like
sounds like a southern dish that that's, you've never had mashed dick. You got to go to the deep part of Florida.
Goes down smooth with some sweet tea and some piss.
But yeah, so I guess I don't know. Did you find it interesting, the song at all, or did you was it also just like lumped in there with the rest of the?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I did find it interesting, but I feel like I've discovered it's the first type of music that I've ever felt like frustrated about, because I feel like it's something that like it's like I love again, like I love spooky things, and like when I read the lyrics, I'm like, it's like a weird, like scary poem. Like it's it's like a it felt like reading those those books that you read as a kid, the scary stories
to tell in the dark.
to tell in the
yeah.
dark. Yeah, it felt like that. But I was just like, but like it could be. I guess I just want the songs to be a play, and that's
So
not a reasonable request.
You want the musical version of that scarecrow running around on the roof wearing someone's face?
Yes, exactly.
It's like, what would he sing though?
This is a good transition period because what you want is Iron Maiden.
That's what I was gonna say before. Is like when she's talking about like the theatrical horror. I'm like, what's the grossest Iron Maiden song? Because that feels like what she wants.
All right. Well, today we listened to a highly requested album. It was also an album that a lot of us knew we were going to have to do at some point.
It even came up organically last week.
Yeah, it did. And it's I actually don't remember what you're talking about.
It was because last week we were talking about how
Iron Maiden.
Everyone got into Iron Maiden. And I thought that my first Iron Maiden album was Virtual XI. My brother texted me and told me it was not Virtual XI, but we did have Ed Hunter.
There you go. We listened to Virtual XI by Iron Maiden. It's their 11th studio album because, of course, it's in the title. And it's their second with their like 14th singer, Blaze Bayley, which sounds like a John Hughes character that smokes weed.
There's a Japanese sprite fighter called Blaze Blue, and it's all I can think about every time I hear his name.
Oh my God. I know exactly what you're talking about. What's happening to me?
Blaze Bayley sounds like if you did that game to make a porn star name by choosing the street that you grew up on and the worst possible singer of Iron Maiden. That joke sucked.
That was the... That
Here's
was
the
a
question: is Blaze Bayley a Marvel hero or a Marvel villain?
A vampire.
He is 100% the fifth Ghost Rider who is only Ghost Rider for a miniseries. And then they were like, "This is a bad idea. We gotta stop."
Yeah,
And they
all the
write him out.
fans voted. They went on Reddit. They're like, I hate Blaze Bayley. Never.
He's the Jason Todd.
Blaze Bayley is on Alpha Flight. He's a Canadian X-Men that turns into a matchstick. Just turns into a pack of matches and is like, anybody need a light?
When I was listening to this album, I just remember the most comments we've got from a lot of people are just like, well, this is bad for this band. Like, this isn't just bad for an Iron Maiden album. Like, this is bad for a Meatloaf album.
Yeah.
Which this sounds like. Oh, Lucy. Right, that's how we have to start it. Lucy, how do you think this album happened?
I think this album is just a training montage that went on for way too long.
What is it
They were
training
like,
you for?
it was sorry.
What is it training you for?
I don't know. Probably like playing like a high school reunion.
You're not like totally wrong.
You're not wrong. It's like training you for pencil sharpening.
I read on Wikipedia, and I'm sure you boys already knew this, that this album was about two things: video games and the World Cup.
Yes. Okay, so I did a little bit of reading about this album before coming into this, and what appears to have happened was that Iron Maiden were about 80% done with this album. They were most of the way there. They'd recorded most of it. They had cover art and everything, and they had a little moment to themselves. They were like, "Oh, this is our 11th album. We should. There's also 11 people on football team, isn't it?"
I love that this
should,
podcast has become an excuse for Jeremy to do a British accent.
Yeah.
This is what?
It's very fun. No, it's a good time.
Oh, it's a good time.
All right, now let's do the whole podcast like this, eh?
I am warning you. I am going to do this voice so much.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to stop now. We've begun.
I can only do a fancy video game, governor.
A weird Italian mouse chef.
Snake and kidney pie, Eddie. I just said snake and kidney pie instead of steak, which is awesome, by
Well,
the way.
they do eat jellied eel. That's a traditional British food.
Eel is pretty close to a snake.
It's almost exactly a snake.
You were talking about something, and then we crashed
yeah,
the
sorry.
That
plane.
dish sounds as good as this album, but please go.
So they had a classic bit of Iron Maiden intellectualism where they said to themselves, there's 11 people on a soccer team. This is our 11th album. And you know what else? It's a World Cup year. Perhaps we could turn this into a very cynical marketing thing. And that's what they did. They just painted soccer players on the front and called it a day.
Wait, I read somewhere that they held soccer matches.
Yes, sorry, they toured and did soccer matches. What?
They played soccer matches?
They I read that they did soccer matches where they had other bands and celebrities play soccer to promote the album.
So Iron Maiden turned into just British Vince McMahon, where it's it's WrestleMania, it'll have wrestling, and then celebrities, and then music, and Limp Bizkit.
I guess kind of, yeah, but
Just
I see it more as a career decline. They're all old at this point, and they're what can we do to make anybody interested in this?
I don't know if I agree with that as an interest tactic.
But I think also this is the late 90s, so these are the first couple of years where you could make a video game and it actually looks like what you want it to, and not look, it's the official E.T. game and it looks like a brown poop. It actually they were able to create Beast Wars level graphics. So that probably might have been
for the music video.
Yeah, I'm sure the video games are, but I'm sure they were oh, cool, we can actually have our character, which we make a lot of money on, in a video game.
Jeremy, please get Jordan a beer.
Yes, thank you.
Everyone get a beer.
All right, pause for beer.
Please, sir.
Please, one more.
Get me a beer and get Lucy a beer. We want beer.
I don't remember where I left.
Oh, so Jeremy was talking about how
that it
well, you
feels
said-
cynical. That this whole soccer angle to the album feels like a cynical sales pitch.
It seems like they raised interest in the album the same way fifth graders try to raise money for a school trip.
that
By
is
making
super
a
accurate.
multi-million-dollar video game.
See, I was gonna say that they're trying to raise interest for the album in the same way that up and coming cities try to raise interest for tourists to come and visit.
Yeah. Oh, I love Virtual Grease. It's
Yeah.
great. Wait, but you had the video game, so there was a video game tie-in to this,
Yes.
right?
Wait,
Do you
is
remember
that-
anything about it? Because I don't know anything about it.
Is the soccer and the video game the same thing, or are they different things?
No, these are different things also. The video game has nothing to do with soccer. It is just I think it's a first-person shooter where you're going around a spooky world. Basically Doom. You're just walking around shooting at zombie-looking things. And I remember even for the time being this is unacceptable.
To be fair, though, baby Jeremy was judgmental as hell.
Yes, adult Jeremy
Yeah.
is also judgmental as hell.
To me, that sounds like a great game. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I never got to watch my brother play that game.
Wait, so I'm not very big on video games. I don't know a lot about them. But in 1999, you could put out a branded video game and it was still cool. This is the years of GoldenEye is amazing, and
Yes.
all of the Nintendo games were everybody's favorite Nintendo games was
But
DuckTales.
GoldenEye genuinely innovated. This
Right.
isn't like GoldenEye. This is
Oh,
the
no.
Demolition Man video
I'm not.
game.
You mean the Demolition Man the movie, which is just a video game,
Well, they made a video game too.
right? The movie. Wait, but what I was getting at though is that do you think that this is not a marketing ploy at this point? It's video games are cool. Wouldn't it be cool to have our own video game with our own fucking Mickey Mouse on it? Not in a way to make money, but in a way to be this is really cool.
I think Drew might be right because there's a quote
Rarely.
on the Wikipedia where Steve Harris said. By the way, for those who don't know, Steve Harris is the bassist of Iron Maiden, and he is the boss of Iron Maiden.
And what an incredible job he has.
Right? What?
To just do like the do forever.
Yeah.
It's just his whole job is just to play do.
On the hits, Steve Harris is has written some incredible bass shit.
I know.
I'm not going to take it away.
I give him a hard time.
Also, I have no idea how to do because you need all three fingers, and he's
That's
doing
true.
it for like 17 hours. Which is probably, it might have influenced the video game thing. He's probably really good at video games because of that. Like, I don't know. I don't know where this is
Insane
going.
finger
blasting.
dexterity.
There is some validity to what Drew said, where he thinks it's cool. He was like, we are interested in the World Cup. And also, I have no idea if this is Steve Harris's voice, but yeah,
You gotta do a dumber British accent.
Right now, so it's people are interested in the World Cup, and they're also interested in video games, and we just assumed that over the years the fans have been interested in what we've been interested in, so we're putting it out there. So what I'm taking from it is because I read like the history of like Iron Maiden, and it's so much, and it's there's like no detail because it's just like this guy was in the band and then he was out of the band and then he was in the and he's out. So all I know is like they were on a very long tour. Bruce Dickinson quit because they toured for way too long.
Yeah,
like they toured longer than any band on the planet, and he was like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta go. But I think just throughout all of those decisions, like Steve Harris confused like fans being interested in all of the spooky shit that they were into them just being connected with their fans on kind of any level.
Yeah.
So I think that like them doing like a soccer album, like it's just like that. Like they think it's the same thing.
As just like I mean, this album sucks ass, but like I read the concept as just like some nice fun blokes that wanted to just share some good times.
But here's the thing: is that this album again has nothing to do with soccer. I read all the lyrics, like looking for any reference to the game at all.
They're British.
There's nothing except that they're British.
Well, there's the last song is what is
It's like in Spanish.
Oh, the
but I
last
mean,
song,
it's not-
Bend It Like Beckham. Wait, before we get into this
The
album,
last song, it's coming home, football's coming home.
the last song, Goal! Wait, I have a question though before we get into this album because we sure as shit will. I actually don't know a lot about Iron Maiden. I know Bruce Dickinson flies the plane, and I'm assuming that when he quit, he still flew the plane. But what I don't know is, so what the fuck is Eddie the Trooper? Can someone explain to me and probably Lucy anything about Eddie the Trooper?
Eddie the Trooper is not Eddie the Trooper. The Trooper, he wasn't the first. The Trooper is just a song, and he's appears in it.
Okay.
Eddie the Trooper is just has just been their symbol since like the early 70s. He's just like a weird zombie character that appears. He's just their symbol.
Why is their symbol a dead guy who may be a mummy?
This is one of my favorite things in like old metal, where like all these bands would have a fully formed, fleshed out, detailed character and be like, this is our symbol. And you're like, a symbol is like the Black Flag bars. That's a symbol. You have a character. Well, it's a different
Like
thing.
Catman from Pantera.
Hunky Catman.
Hunky Catman.
Hunky Catman
Beautiful
is not
Garfield.
a symbol.
But wait. So
My favorite thing is that Lucy is more familiar with the Catman from Pantera than she is with Eddie, which is the funniest thing in the world.
I don't think that you're right with that, because like the symbols that I know are like I forgot the name of the warthog from Motorhead.
Snaggletooth.
Snaggletooth just shows up. There's Vic Rattlesnake from Megadeth. He just shows up. But like Eddie the Not Trooper like has costumes and stuff. Like sometimes he's carrying a British flag, and sometimes he's in ancient Egypt, and sometimes he looks like Deathlock from Marvel Comics. Like
Yes, he does.
Like he has costume changes and action figures and stuff.
Yeah, Eddie.
Is there a history? Is there a reason? Is there a tie-in comic books? Is he a mummy?
I think
He was a mummy. I have a shirt where he's a mummy.
Let's get in that album.
He's no. Well,
I
hold
love
on.
Eddie because he's like Barbie for as angry men, because it's like he has all the careers. He was a mummy. He was a soldier. He was flying a
mummy.
He flew a plane. He sometimes has electricity powers. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I'm a career mummy, but when I grow up, I really want to be a guy who floats through space with a laser gun that connects straight into my waist.
Let's get into the album. First off, well, Iron Maiden, I think, is one of the most famous metal bands. I personally think like they are the best metal band. For what you want out of something, for what I always thought metal was, since I was like, since as like a child, that is they were everything that I wanted.
Iron Maiden elicits a response in me and a lot of people the same way that people feel about sports, where it's just like someone's like, I don't know about Maiden. You're like, Maiden rules!
Yes.
And you just like knock over a trash can. You're just like...
You're a soccer hooligan for Iron Maiden. That's why you should love this album.
Yeah, like I think that's why they thought they could get away with it, is because they have kind of like the World Cup. They also like gained this worldwide fan base after the Power Slave tour. Like it was their biggest tour ever. Mm-hmm. To this day, they have a front row of the audience that is just people from all over the world that follow the band around, and they each have like a flag from their country.
Right.
And I remember this because on their DVD and when I saw them at the Barclays Center last year, Bruce Dickinson makes like a giant speech about inclusivity and points out like all the different people across like the world, and like a pro LGBT speech. Aww. And he's the oldest man on the planet, I think, who has done that. And it's really cool. And I think that kind of like world connection is important to them. So that's how I think that in their brains that this album where they were like, the soccer tie-in will be important.
Maiden rules.
Maiden fucking rules.
Except for this album.
I know,
except for this fucking
so
album.
Colossally bummed me out. I think I feel like how you must have felt during Van Halen 3. Like,
yeah.
Look, we're going to talk about how awful this album is. It's truly dreadful, but I do want to say one thing, which is that this is Virtual XI. It's the 11th album that they've made. Can you name any other band that has made 11 albums where the 11th album was good?
The Mountain Goats.
yeah.
That doesn't count.
Boo.
I don't know what their
Lock
11th is,
her
but I'm
up.
sure.
Lock her up.
Hey, what's up? We're the Mountain Goats. Here's 27 albums about how I worked in a mental hospital and I used to drink a lot. I love the Mountain Goats, but
Yeah, I know, Drew. You're correct. I mean, it was gonna happen. There was no fucking way this was gonna be good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
it was doomed from the start. There were a weird, rare case where they got famous with their third singer. Bruce Dickinson is the third Iron Maiden singer, which is fucking nuts. And they came from a time where all these metal bands in Britain were just trading members. Steve Harris was just taking in band members and firing them immediately to try it until he got everybody that could play the way that he wanted. So I don't think for them they thought that like not having Bruce Dickinson or having a singer that sounds drastically different would be important, because I think, again, there's that moment of fame. There's that thing about being famous where it just kind of stunts your maturity and your connection with the world. So I don't really... I think he was under the impression like it'll be like when we got someone else after Paul Di'Anio.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Lucy, I'm wondering what your knowledge of Maiden was prior to this album.
I had seen them frequently on people's shirts and on their bodies. I've never heard an Iron Maiden song, I don't think. Unless I'm mistaken and I've heard one that I don't know is them. What one would people have heard?
Oh, you definitely have heard some and just never knew it was them.
Probably like Run to the Hills.
Run to the Hills would probably be the one.
We probably should have made you listen to 2 Minutes to Midnight, since that's what our show is parodying.
Oh my
we're literally
God.
named after a Maiden song.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Great play on words, guys.
That was Jordan. That was all Jordan.
Okay, this album, I don't know, for me, I think like what I want from a Maiden song is I want I want some operatic, like high
Yeah.
fucking vibrato ass vocals, and I want guitar minis.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, the
oh,
whole-
yes. That's what was missing.
There's no guitar minis on this album.
I was trying to put my finger on it the whole time I was listening to this. I was like, the leads are like okay, they're fine. They're doing something better than the rest of the band is doing. But the whole time I kept thinking to myself, like, what the fuck is missing? That's what it is.
guitar minis.
There's no motivation in it at all. I listened to Maiden so I could graduate college. I was very depressed. And I would just, I just bumped it every day. I'm like, don't got no meds. We just got to get through this. And if this was the album I was bumping, I would not have graduated that art school.
Do you know
God.
Do you know what this album sounds like? Have you ever played in a band and you're practicing at your friend's house and your friend's dad comes down and is like, "Oh, you guys are making music? You know, back in the 80s, I used to have a band." And then he decides to play a song for you, but instead he plays you 80 minutes of music. That's what this album sounds like.
This album felt shorter than any album we've ever listened to. I will give it that.
It's like
I
6
looked at it.
songs.
I was
looked at it, I was
delighted.
like, I loved that.
I was on the
Best
train
part.
home. I have never finished an album usually I get off the train, walk into my apartment, I'm like, this shit's still going. I still had 3 stops to go. I was like, well, there's that.
Yeah. And then you can cleanse the palate with like "Hallowed Be Thy Name" and you feel better
Yeah.
or whatever.
I was cleansing the palate with Baby Metal.
Hell yeah.
It just turned out being like a really good aftercare for like dealing with this.
Jeremy, how do you run a fucking anime podcast with me and you found out about Baby Metal today?
It's weird. It doesn't make any sense, but I'm just happy to be on board.
Welcome. I just can't imagine how you were so excited to go see Rob Zombie, not knowing that he's defending little Japanese bands. That was half the reason I was so excited to go see him. I was like, he's gonna be this. Like, Rob Zombie just looks like an 80-year-old tree who's just like wise about new music the whole time.
That Rob Zombie sure does love little Japanese girls.
I would just hope that he would come on a seaworthy Dragula off of the stage of Jones Beach.
But enough about Rob Zombie. Let's
Yes.
talk about this shit show.
Okay, so yeah, what else, Lucy?
I mean,
How
yes.
did you feel about this?
It was mercifully short. I remember I listened to the first song, and then I think the second song was like almost 10 minutes, and I was like, is it gonna be one of these?
That is exactly how I felt. I was like, oh boy.
But no, it was mercifully short. But also, I gotta say, like it was a lot closer to Journey than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Like it was a
You're
lot.
correct.
It was a lot more like I don't know what Journey qualifies as necessarily. I just know that like 60-year-old men like it a lot, and this is more like
Me when I'm drunk.
But yeah, it was a lot more like something I would hear at a Long Island wedding than I thought it would be.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote down, it sounds like it could be playing at any bar.
Yeah.
Like, you could just walk into any bar in America and the band would sound like this.
Right, but also in like a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
a
like
move.
a slightly higher standard, but not by much.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know. I've never actually walked into
It would
a
be
bar
like-
and there was a band there. No,
What, you've never been in a joke premise before?
It would be like in a movie that like a French person made who didn't know much about America,
Yes.
but like knew a little bit.
He's like
That's
Johnny
exactly
Rock and Roll.
Hello, yes, this is American Rock and Roll Party. They like, what do Americans like? Video games and soccer, right? Yes.
But the second those shitty violins kick in, you're like, all right, Ireland. I've read about this place.
Yeah.
American
Oh my
Rock
God.
and Roll Party. I love my favorite punk band is the Fuck Guns. Hell yeah.
Maiden's not exactly known for their lyrics, but can we talk about how bad the lyrics are on
Yes.
Oh my God.
Like insanely bad, like the worst. And that's saying a lot because I have listened to Pooper Collider and Van
Yes.
Halen 3, and like for some reason this album, the lyrics I think because you can really hear them.
Yes.
They're so enunciated. It's
Yeah.
so intense.
Well, yeah, that's what I was like when I was listening to this. It's like it sounds like there's like a band of dads playing, and then there's some guy auditioning for Sweeney Todd with stuff he wrote.
I wrote down that this feels like it's a musical about metal, and then I wrote down as an addendum to that, it literally all sounds like Roger's parts from Rent.
Yeah, which is the weirdest part because
Listen.
Bruce Dickinson didn't do that in Iron Maiden. Like all Bruce Dickinson verses are long.
Yeah.
He stretches outwards and they're long. Like he just
And they're not
shouts.
particularly enunciated. It's very loose.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it exists in space.
Yeah, so I looked up a lot of these lyrics because I was compelled by how bad they were. And something I really want to talk about is these are British boys, and I know The Klansman is about Braveheart, but it's hard in this day and age to sit on the train. Because I'm listening to it on the train, and it's like, The Klansman. I'm like, I know it's spelled with a C, and this is metal, and like there's all sorts of things about like warrior poets or whatever. But then I looked up the lyrics, and it made it worse.
It's Braveheart. It's just about Braveheart.
I know it's about Braveheart, but then also it's hard not to space out and then listen to lyrics about like the right of your race and stuff like
well, it's
that.
it's like when you go see like Reagan Youth and like they have that song that has Sieg Heil in it, but you're like, I mean, I know it's like making fun of Reagan, but this still doesn't feel
But
good.
it's still weird because I don't know a lot about Iron Maiden, but I know they talk about slaves a lot.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're
No,
not.
no, no,
They
I'm
do,
not- I'm
but they're not in that way.
Look, I know it's not a malicious thing. I know that. It's just weird. If you ever listen to the lyrics to Run to the Hills, it's like, it's just
they're
weird.
all of their things are historical pieces, but they're from that weird point where like they thought it was cool to sing about other people's oppression because guess what? No one else was singing about it in that genre.
I'm not coming for it. I'm not coming for it. I just think it's weird that they wouldn't be like, maybe after doing a tour called Power Slave, we shouldn't have a song called The Klansman.
I think it's cultural. They definitely were referring Braveheart. I'm just saying, like, spacing out and listening to that song, I'm just like, there's a lot of multiple feels here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, The Educated Fool, what a romp, huh?
Oh my god. What the fuck was that?
Like, the goofiest, most over-enunciated stuff.
Yeah, but the weirdest, you brought up the Klansman, and I felt exactly the same way that you did. I also noticed in our comments, a lot of people were like, Klansman still rips, and I listened to it, it does not rip. That song doesn't fucking rip.
It does not rip, but it is. I mean, I don't want to jump ahead to best song already, but I definitely think it's the most tolerable song on the album.
I don't know.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, but like
Brandy sampled it, so maybe I'm missing something. Did anybody listen to the Brandy sample?
I did listen to it, yeah.
America's favorite murderous Brandy.
Yes. The Matthew Broderick of R&B.
Yes. Look it up.
Yep.
Oh, man. Can we talk about Angel and the Gambler and how they very clearly wrote that song to be the song that leads into leaving stage to come back for the encore?
What does he say? I'm going to save you over and over again?
Yes, but there's that really long, drawn-out part with the I'm gonna save you, and it's just like playing the same thing over and over and over again, and they so clearly wrote that to be like,
oh my God,
you know what I mean?
right,
When you,
yes.
when you close out your set and then leave stage to then come back for the encore, and it's a song that has the really drawn-out part where like the singer can go around and be like, on guitar, this guy, on bass, this guy. I don't know any of their names, but you get what I mean? Like, they wrote the long, drawn-out part for the lead singer to go around and point out everybody on the stage, introduce them to the crowd, everybody cheers, they finish the song, and then leave and come back for the encore where they play
Yes.
Run for the Hills.
You are correct that that's what they did, and where they went wrong immediately is they picked a guy to sing who can't do this guy on guitar. They picked a guy and on guitar.
Oh my
Excuse me, on guitar.
Is it the what?
Pardon me.
It's Toast of London. What's his face?
Yeah, it's oh my God. Their singer is Matt Berry.
Yes.
Yes.
Matt Berry doing The Greatest Showman, starring Logan from the X-Men. Yeah. But talking about that song, actually,
On guitar, father.
but talking about that song has a music video,
Yes.
which we need to watch. So, viewers at home, we're going to pause and we're going to watch this music video. You should do the same. Watch the music video for what is the name of the song?
The
Angel and the Gambler. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Angel and Gambit, my other favorite X-Men. Watch that music video and then come back to hear us
Seriously,
ramble.
could not recommend it anymore.
Yeah. Welcome back. All right. I hope you just watched that music video. It's a real treat. Lucy, you were the only one who hadn't seen that before.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was interesting. It was like
You can be honest.
when they like it's so weird. Like I don't even remember graphics like that.
Right?
Like from any time. Like when was this made?
1998.
1998. Yeah, like I don't remember anything like that.
As a boy who was a boy, I do.
Yeah. What do you remember? Was that in video games?
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars.
is
Beast
the
Wars,
most.
big show, Reboot.
Oh God, Reboot.
Yeah, Reboot was like this too. But you know what I just
My
realized, though?
virginity grew back.
When you said 1998, I just remembered that the next year is The Matrix.
Oh
Which-
my God.
Which sheds such a negative light on this video now that you think about it that way.
I don't know. I'm really scared to watch The Matrix, you guys. That's gonna be weird.
Here's a weird thing about this video, because I've said before I don't really know a lot about Eddie, and I think the implication is that if you want to be the lead singer of Iron Maiden, you have to beat Eddie in a game of cards every time, and then he freaks out. Like I feel I don't know if there were any other music videos where that happens, but it was just like, okay, Bruce, you're the new guy in town. All right, beat me in a game of checkers.
So
Space
funny.
checkers.
Or maybe it's like, there's a version of Thor in the comics, since we're talking about comic books so much, where instead of Thor being this like god of Asgard in physical form, he actually possesses a small child, and like whoever, like who Thor is changes all the times because it's like who his spirit inhabits.
Yep.
When you pick up the hammer, so like maybe like Eddie is just like a wild spirit that possesses those who are righteous enough to rock.
Yeah,
Maybe
Eddie is the friends we made along the way.
maybe.
As we were flying through space in a George Foreman grill and stopped to play a set on a golf course on the moon.
I looked it up because we already watched this video once before today. Eddie is literally just, I will probably be a little bit wrong about this anyway, so they can still yell at me.
Fan engagement.
Their lighting guy made a paper mache mold of his face that looked like that thing, and made it to look like a zombie, and it was just a head, and it was the backdrop for Iron Maiden stuff. And literally, because they are British, people would say, we're trying to say Hetty, but it sounds like Eddie, and so they named it Eddie. And that's the whole story.
What?
Oi, Eddie! Yeah, I can.
Yeah, they're just like, they're...
Oh, yes, look at Eddie over there.
Oh, it's our ugly friend.
It's all like, it's our ugly
Yes.
friend Eddie. And then they made like a joke about it, and it's like a long-witted joke, but it ends with him just, because he's just a head, just going like a kid who's named Eddie or whatever, and like it's Christmas, and like the joke ends with like Eddie going, not another hat. That's the whole evolution of the character.
My favorite part about
That's
that
Maiden
is
rules.
that in England they don't say head, they say heady, because everything in England is a funky little candy.
Here's the thing. I don't even know. I think it was head. They thought it sounded like Ed. They named it Eddie because of the joke.
Ugh, our jokes would have been funnier. I'm so sad that it was
Isn't
a
that
cooler
it
story.
really just derails the whole thing? At least they wrote like sick, operatic, fucking.
You know what? Maiden still rules.
Maiden rules. They fucking take the concept of just like a classic opera and shoved it into guitars, and made it, and it was fucking sick for a long time.
Yeah.
And then this happened.
All right, I think we should try to say something nice about this album, because none of us
Okay.
have yet. I sort of vaguely complimented the Klansmen. Lucy, do you have anything nice to say about...
I genuinely like the first track. I think it.
I agree.
I think it all went downhill from there.
Which one's the first
pretty
one?
much. But Future Real.
Future
Oh,
Real.
yeah.
It has a good riff.
Yeah.
That was the song I was gonna pick as favorite. Also, just because the riff is sick, I'm like, this is a classic Maiden riff. There isn't any harmonizing, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
No guitar harmonies, bummer. Good riff.
But that gave me hope. That gave me a false hope that I carried throughout the album.
Yeah.
Well, the first 20 seconds of that song is my favorite part of the album, not to skip ahead, because in the first 20 seconds, I'm like, this isn't that bad.
Yep.
Everybody's full of shit. And then it starts, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
I'm on this podcast.
once you hear him over enunciate, what is real? Future real. You're like, nope, no, everyone's right about this.
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to. This was an. Do we all have like albums that are coming up on the list where like you hope that you get to be the pain in the ass who likes it?
Yeah.
This was the one. I was like, I really want to think that like some of this is okay, but I was
Yeah.
like, there's just gonna be no way.
I know, in my heart, I'm like, I don't think Maiden can make a truly bad album. And I'm like, oh, yeah, here it is.
Look at that.
And here it comes.
Womp, 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 womp.
Was it the length that was? I don't know if it was the length.
No, the length was great.
Length was
Short and
Yes.
sweet. Because
Yeah.
it was a bad album. I don't want to listen to it the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I think that we were fortunate. We should be thankful that this is.
That is a posse.
We listened to a Maiden album who are the most experienced musicians in writing palatable long-ass songs. Like, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is maybe their sickest song. It's the last song on Power Slave. It is fucking 14 minutes, and it rips for 14 goddamn minutes.
Yeah.
No one ever listens to it because it's 14 goddamn minutes.
I know
but
who's got the time.
Well,
you
the
know?
one
It's
time
I did. It's awesome. It was good.
That's a song I like. The one time a year I go to a gym and I'm like, I can get off the treadmill when the song is over.
Yes. Yes,
just a
absolutely.
playlist of like that. No Effects is The Decline. Every single fucked up song.
Get the fuck out
Every
of here.
every
No
band
effects, you
every
can't.
band is allowed to have one song over 6 minutes long, but the only way that you're allowed to do is if it fucking slaps. If it doesn't slap, you're ruined. Take, for example, Station to Station by David Bowie. Best song he ever did.
Yes.
It fucking rules. He never did a song that long ever again. He never did one before. He knew the rules. Every band that we've reviewed so far on this podcast did not know the rules.
Here's the thing. Every Iron Maiden song is over 7 minutes long, and they fucking whip ass, so they should be your favorite band
They get a
by
pass.
political science. By political science, your favorite band is Iron Maiden.
I voted for Iron Maiden. I really, really liked Iron Maiden in the primaries too. I don't have a problem with Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden. They're great. I don't know why I never like really got into them. Like,
Yeah.
but I also have kind of always been that way where it was like if it was a band that was big before like 1995, I didn't listen to a full album by then until like recently, except for Ozzy Osbourne because I didn't have a lot of friends and I owned a couple of lighters when I was a child.
Would you like? I'm curious about it because you also we're now the opposite because I think the pinnacles of metal a little bit are Pantera and Iron Maiden. I never really listened to Pantera, and you never really listened to Iron Maiden.
I
think that is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why.
A little bit.
I don't really know why that is. I guess because in a weird way, Iron Maiden's kind of wholesome, and I got into Pantera in my fuck you years, and in a weird way, like you don't listen to Iron Maiden to piss off your parents because your parents probably like Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
But Pantera, there is a little bit of like, yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna go buy cigarettes for my friends because I'm 18 and they're not.
Like I was gonna assume that it's like one of those bands that like you see so much Iron Maiden everywhere. They have the most like other than the Misfits, they have the most merch. So it just seems like for a lot of people, they're one of those overwhelming bands that it's like I feel like I probably already know them.
But I was one of those shitty kids also that was like, the more people like things, the less that I like them. And so I like listening
Right.
to Iron Maiden. We were talking about The Clash before. I didn't listen to The Clash until I was like 18 because everybody liked them. And I was like, fuck you, they're bad if people like them. People don't like good things because I was dumb. And that's how I missed out on my peak Iron Maiden years, for the same reason that I missed out on like a lot of good things because I was cynical and shitty.
Okay, Katie, how did you get into Iron Maiden?
T-shirt.
Like, do you remember where
I was chilling on Long Island like you do, and I don't know. I think I saw just someone like a group of like Heshers or some shit at like a 7-Eleven. And it was when I was starting to get I knew I wanted to rebel. I was like middle school age, but like I was having a hard time figuring it out. And I remember just seeing the shirt and like thinking they look so cool and they're like long hair and shit. And then looking at the T-shirt and I like looked them up on our clunky like gateway PC. And then that week I went to Tower Records and I bought a Maiden CD and I bought the first Destiny's Child because I was like 12.
That's my fucking favorite record store shop story ever. We didn't do you listening to Iron Maiden the first time.
Honestly, it's one of those things that just like, it's like asking like when the first time you went to church is.
Right.
You know, you're just like, I don't know, probably when I was a kid. I couldn't possibly tell you.
Right. Yeah, that's
it's
I
just
guess
something that's
fair.
always been there. Or like trying to identify when you got pubes.
Yeah.
You ever like try to identify the day that you got pubic hair?
Yeah, that shit doesn't exist.
You can't do that.
You can't do it.
I actually distinctly remember the day I saw my first pubic hair.
What?
Yeah. I remember.
I do too, actually. Maybe this is a gendered issue.
And it was
It might
weird,
be a
like
gender
It might
thing.
be.
maybe.
I just remember there was years where I didn't have pubes, and then there were years when I did, and I
Yes,
don't remember.
exactly.
I
I can't
can't
it just
pinpoint
came
the
one day,
year.
all of them at once.
I just want to point out that I left for 2 seconds and I come back and the sentence I hear is, it's kind of like when you got pubic hairs all at once. That was really strange thing to walk in on.
Okay, look, but more about you remember the day.
I remember
Tell the story.
I remember the moment when I realized I had a pubic hair. Like it was like I remember I was sitting at the edge
You
of my
shouldn't have
toe.
fucking got up.
It's like when you it's like when you start growing hair on your toes. It's like oh, now that happens.
I think because women are bullied a lot more about hair, it's like a bigger deal for you to keep track
That's
of.
such a good point.
I got bullied in marching band about not shaving my legs.
Oh, no. I got bullied
Rock
for...
on, Katie.
I got hard. I'm like bullied for any body hair at all because like I was a scene kid, friends with a lot of like insecure dudes who were trying to be as femme as possible.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. It came with a lot of body shaping. So I remember one of the most painful image moments of my life was when I got like shoulder blade hair. Like the wing
You
of
got your
shoulder.
wings, you got your angel wings.
Yeah, I remember because I remember just hearing some of my friends like have like just really intense issues with like getting different like body hair, and I remember one day I was literally shooting a fucking music video, and we had this really cool old dude playing like, you know, being the old dude in a music video, and it's a metal video. Of course, there's a guy who looks like a wizard.
Yeah.
who made his own soul disappear. But this guy fucking ruled. But I remember he was wearing like a tank top, and he had wings. And I had never seen shoulder hair wings before. I didn't know that was a part of back hair. I thought it was just you had your whole back was hairy or nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not know about this. I didn't know you could just have fucking wings. And I remember going like, oh man, that sucks. And then a year later I was like, oh no.
Oh no, this sucks.
Oh no.
Wizard's curse!
I
He's
cursed
real!
myself. Don't make fun of a wizard. I should listen to more Iron Maiden songs.
What about the fun part of going bald that no one tells you, which is like you think you're going to wake up one day and just look like fucking Mo Howard, but the reality is that you lose like a little island in the middle and you still have some bangs left. It's so
yeah.
weird.
When it separates out the front part and you're just like, what the fuck are you even doing? What are you even up to?
Well, you have like, cause like Jeremy, you and I are bald, and you have like the classical, like yours is receded all the way, and I just look like JFK, like I lost the top of my head, and I still have too much on my sides to like really rock a fucking dad from Step Brothers haircut.
Anyway, what's your favorite song on the album, everybody?
I'm a toss-up right now between Klansman and Future Real.
Okay.
Because I think that the riff in Future Real is better. I think the leads are highly forgettable, but also not a living nightmare. So I'm kind of veering towards that, but then I hate the lyrics of it and the enunciation on it, and Klansman kind of feels the loosest. So I'm between the two. Maybe somebody can convince me either way.
I think, I have to agree with Lucy and Jordan. I think Future Real is probably the most listenable song. Yeah, it did trick us. It gave you a little glimmer of hope, and then let you all down all the way down the well. But it's definitely the most listenable song, I would say, and the faint glimmer of Maiden's in there, deep within her shores.
Yes.
My favorite is still the first 20 seconds of this album, and I Had Hope. But I mean, if it converts you, I think Klansman's the worst song on the album, and the fact that people say that song is still good proves that probably a good 7 out of every 10 people that you meet are fucking dumb.
Ooh.
That was mean. But I don't know why I
Very
said
mean.
that.
You're just gonna drive people into the arms of the Klansman with that rhetoric.
I thought that The Klansman is probably the worst song that I've heard in the history of this podcast, which is not very long, but just to say that's the longest amount of time I've been purposely subjecting myself to bad stuff.
No way.
I think
no fucking way is the Klansman worse than Junior Dad.
No.
There is
Whoa,
no way.
okay.
I refuse to accept
Okay,
that.
but wait.
Podcast?
Wait. First off, Junior Dad doesn't count because Lulu isn't canon. It's the movies. It's the Dragon Ball Z movies. Lulu doesn't count because Lulu is so awfully and offensively bad for so many reasons. This is an album you can tell that they actually tried.
Here's the thing.
Lulu doesn't count.
I will listen to literally, I think, even though this album is terrible, this is probably number 2 for me.
Well, wait. So this is where I wanted to get to. This is the number 1 worst album that I've listened to. I actually, when you guys were talking about you needed a cool down after that, as a cool down to this album, I listened to Van Halen 3, and I actually hate this more than I hate Van Halen 3, which is saying a lot. That's like converting to Catholicism on this podcast. I really, really hated everything about this album. And I thought about why I hated it. And I realized that Van Halen 3 was bad, but at least they were kind of trying something new. And they were kind of being we got a little bit of our old sound and we're going to try something a little different. And we got this singer and he's not the best, but he's trying his hardest. Everything on this album fell so flat for me and just was so miserable of an experience. It felt like I was at the worst county fair listening to this album. I hated this album. I hated this album so much that I listened to Van Halen 3 to see if I was wrong, and I wasn't. I think this is the worst album, and I don't count Lulu because that's just getting shot in the head.
The your Lulu case is fair.
The Lulu thing is still fair, but Jesus Christ, man. Amount of time alone, this can't be the worst thing we've listened to.
Drew says that about every album we listen to.
No, I don't. I actually loved the Limp Bizkit album, and I've listened to it since then.
You are my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's not. Drew Kaufman, the male feminist, listens to fucking Eat You Alive once a week. I think that a lot of that was crazy. But Future Real, I think, is the most palatable song. I was disappointed that there wasn't guitar harmonies, but honestly, structurally, it's a Maiden album. This is an album where you can pinpoint what is wrong with the album, and it's honestly the singer. It's honestly, I don't want to shit on it being a new singer, but he wrote all the lyrics. He chose the way he did his vocals, and the vocals are really what is the hardest part to get over in the album.
I'll say 2 things to that. One is I don't think the vocals are all that's wrong. I think they're wrong. I don't think it's the only problem because I also think that it's just a forgettable kind of phoned in album. But second thing is that this isn't his first album with them. This is his second album with them. And this should have been his Famous Monsters. This shouldn't have been his American Psycho. This should have been his Famous Monsters. This should have been the one where he's now used to being in the band and now gets what he's supposed to do.
Are you disagreeing with me?
I don't know. I'm just saying something.
Oh, okay. I agree. It should have been his. I thought you were like great. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, Lucy. Yeah.
What did I say? Oh yeah, definitely Future Real. Yeah, it was like I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Jacob's Radio.
I thought you were gonna say Jacob's Ladder, and I was like, that's apropos. But Jacob's Radio is something else.
It's like, it's the message that the Austrians are coming to liberate them soon has carried me through that entire album with false hope. But I thought that was a very good song. And I have to say, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate this album. I thought that it was pretty listenable, and it just wasn't what I expected it to be. I'm not actually convinced that it's metal, but
you're right.
But I do like it.
All right, guys, we are overtime right now, so we're gonna do Metal Man's playing next week. All right, plugs.
You can find me on Twitter at the Steinbag.
Find me on Twitter at Jeremy Thunder. Check out my other podcast, Ballin' Out Super.
Super duper.
I always don't realize you're going to do it with me.
Yeah,
too hot
because
in
it's
this room.
also my show. And I want ownership of everything because it's about me. You can find me at Twitter at Katie Rose, on Instagram at Oh Hello Katie Rose, and shouting over Jeremy on various platforms.
Hey, this is Drew Kaufman. You can find me on Twitter at diet_Hellboy. You can also play my video game /album on Instagram at Drew Kaufman Photography.
You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Jordan Olds. You follow my dog that interrupted the podcast at Great Hambino.
Come to the live recording August 28th at St. Vitus. It's Halloween in August, you spooky weirdos.
Yeah, there's going to be candy and also booze.
Show up in costume. It'll be really fun.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget to check us out on Patreon. We really cannot do the show without your hard-earned cash, so please give us cash. We need your cash. Thank you so much.
Also,
Love you.
we have merch at our friend's website, terriercult.com. It's a cute dog clothing website, but hey, guess what? We have a little portion of the store at Friends of the Cult. Go to Friends of the Cult. 2 Miss Late Night. Lucy has a shirt. Drew has a shirt. It's honestly the best shirt. It's a Stone Cold Steve Austin parody with fucking 420 on it. All you goddamn losers love that shit.
And we also have a signature scent from Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. You smell bad. Buy it. It'll be funny. It's funny to buy.
It's a real scent.
It'll be really funny. Do it. It's so funny. Do it.
Bye, everything. All right, goodbye.
Bye.